Welcome in to Inside the AF1, a weekly show rebound off the net. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. Hard to believe we enter week 7, the halfway mark of the AF1 season. Later on tonight, we'll talk about the big weekend ahead of games. We'll give you our picks. But first off, we welcome back one of my favorite guests. He's the president of the 5-0, about to be 6-0 Albany Firebirds tomorrow night, Mr. Jeff Levack.
You can say that. I can't say that. I'm not. I know if I said that right now, Darius Prince and Dwayne Hollis would be on my phone quicker than you could hiccup.
Yeah. First question I have for you: have you heard from Steve Titus the last couple of weeks after you all boat raced him two weeks in a row? And how's he feeling about the Firebirds signage on his truck?
I have heard from him. I will say this: as much as Titus can run his mouth, he does. He stands and delivers afterwards. So after the win here in Albany, Titus and Coach Walker both came up to Coach Ware's office, shook hands, and said, "Hey, you were the better team tonight." So I respect that. And then not here. I was just in Billings. Coach Walker came right up to me on the field. I mean, there isn't a more stand-up guy in all of arena football than Coach Walker, and just talk the game through. I love talking defense to that guy. Like he's got that kind of defensive brain that I think he could teach a 4-year-old how to like robber package. It's pretty amazing. And then Titus and I talked. A couple days later, he's like, "I had to go barbecue. The weather was too nice to stay inside." I was like, "That's I barbecued too. It was a celebratory 12-pack of barbecue."
What was the result different than what you expect? I know you expected to win, but 2 blowouts though. Did you expect that against that Billings team?
I think after the first one, I kind of knew what we really are, because I think I have ultimate faith in Coach Ware and our guys, and Sam Castronova. I've watched him go and just grow and grow and grow, and he was MVP caliber. Now, I don't know how you don't just put him in that conversation every single time he's under center, but you got to beat him. You got to go beat Billings. Like, Billings is so well coached, and their defense is always showing you something you're not used to seeing. And in that first game, McFarland out of the backfield, that guy runs like a truck, and they're hitting him out of the high motion. So once we beat them the first time, then I was like, okay, we are officially there. Like, this is, I have no doubts, and I'm a doubt-filled human. But to win full defense style in Billings was amazing too. And not a lot of people know this. We had a lot of travel issues going out there, so I was a little nervous because my guys weren't as rested as I would have loved for them to be able to be. But they're just gamers. They're hardcore football players, and I couldn't be prouder to have them represent Albany and the Firebirds.
Yeah, you've been in Albany a long time. You've been around a lot of Albany Firebirds and Empire teams. How do you feel about this team compared to some of the other teams of the past? Is this team the best team in Albany?
I think so. And it's difficult to say, because you go back to that 19 championship team, with Tommy Grady and Malachi and all that. They were special. That was a special team. 21, which 21 was like an all-star team. You had literally everybody who I think had multiple rings or had more awards on their shelves than I'll ever see was on that roster. Last year, I thought was, I think this is something that I'm not supposed to say. I know I'm going to get a hard time from the guys, but what we learned about ourselves during the nonsense in 23, the team that was put together in 24, I was just like, this is a group that is phenomenal on the field, and I would invite every single one of them over to dinner. And then this team, hell, I'd go to their house for dinner, and I don't like people. So it's like, I think this is the most talented group, top to bottom. And I just see guys improving every single day and just getting a little bit better. And, Sam Castronova is better than he was in 22, and Harold Love is better than he was. Like, these guys are getting better every day. And Zeke Rose is a monster. Nicest guy on the planet. He can balance your portfolio. He can read you the Bible, and then he can eat your quarterback. Like, I love this squad, top to bottom.
Yeah, your all's team has been a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. So I asked Damon Ware this a couple of weeks ago, kind of a similar question. He gave me a good political answer to this question. So, but I'm gonna ask you. You look around the league.
You want me to get in trouble? Okay, all right, let's go. I'm in.
You're a sports talk show host, so yeah. You look around the league. You all are a lot more talented than pretty much anybody else. I think it's going to be a cakewalk to the championship at Albany. Is your all's dominance good for the league, and do others need to raise their roster level around the league next year?
I think you're sleeping on Nashville. Coach Arbet is a Hall of Famer, and that team is getting better every single week. And he's going to keep improving them. I do think we're light years better than everybody, but I think that's part of what Damon Ware is able to do with recruiting. Like that guy's phone never stops. Like I wish girls liked me the way football players like Damon Ware. But I do think Nashville's real. I think Billings, given time, is going to be scary at some point if their defense starts to click. But is it good? I don't know. Nobody complained that was a Patriots fan when they were doing it in the NFL. And, unless I'm a Raiders fan, but I still kind of like watching the Chiefs win a little bit, not twice a year at least. But I think it's when you're this fun to watch, you're this fun to watch. And there's the most important thing is that we can't ever admit that openly. Like the guys can never admit that they are going to go up against a Corpus Christi team that is good. Like Dwayne Hollis is still a top corner, and Darius Prince is the GOAT for a reason. So I think that if you sit here and just kind of pencil us in as undefeated and winning the championship, you could get let down. But I know talent-wise we have what it takes to do it. I don't want to be politically correct. I know we're going to win. I know it, blah, blah, blah. But I look at that Nashville team and if you don't raise your eyebrow when you see what's going on in Nashville, you're not paying close enough attention. I guess that's the best way for me to put it.
Yeah. Speaking of Nashville, I was at your all's game a couple of weeks ago. You were talking about Damon Ware earlier. I interviewed Damon Ware after the game, and he said this quote that kind of raised some chatter. He said, quote, "It's time for people to start calling me a legend. I don't think anything what I've done over the past few years has been duplicated," end quote. Has Damon Ware been undervalued, and should he get more respect and talk?
100%. 100%. I'll admit it openly. I was guilty of it the first year he was here in Albany. I didn't know what he was, he was our offensive coordinator, assistant head coach. And as I got to know him towards the end of the year, I was like, holy crap, this guy should be doing the whole thing. Like this should be his. And then he came back and we did it, we ran it again. And I was like, what is it? Why does he keep doing this? But I love it. Keep coming in. And then I don't know anybody else who could have weathered the storm of 23 the way he did. And then not only weathered the storm, but the second everything was done, he was right here building the 24 team. He's one of my favorite people in the world of football. He's even keel. It's never when he blows up, it's because there's a damn good reason to blow up. And there's so back in 22, I got executive of the year for the NAL, and he should have got assistant coach of the year. And I wore that. I've carried that ball around that says executive of the year all the time just to mess with him because I know he should have had it, and I liked lighting that fire even hotter than it was. But guy's a special offensive mind. Players love him. Front office loves him. I absolutely think, hearing him say that is out of character.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, and so and I heard him say it, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not going to swear on your show out of respect, but I said, AF and right you are. And, I yelled it and, scared the hell out of everybody in the house because they didn't expect me to get that pumped up. But he is, man. He's a special guy, and he's a great coach.
Yeah. I've talked to him a lot, and I was really thrown back when he said that. I was like, wow.
Right. Because he's the first one to tell you that, Mike Corda and Andy Gelcher, Rich said they're legendary owners, and he'll take time to say what I do right, and why Sam's special, and why this one is that. But it's usually after I've tricked him into doing a couple shots with me that you get him to actually admit that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of some players on the field. Dwayne Brown, you stole him from Billings last year. He's become your all's best receiver. What do you think about kind of his play on the field and this Castronova throwing the ball to him? What has that been like to watch for you?
You said stole. We just opened the door and he walked in. It was interesting to watch him in Billings this weekend because everyone loves him. Like he's a really, really good guy. But he's a student. You know what I mean? Like you see a guy who's going out and getting 4 touchdowns a game, 3 here and 2. So he won the Real American Player of the Week in this game again with Billings, 104 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. I go see him after the game. And part of our travel is we drove in from Bozeman. So that's a 2-hour drive. And Dwayne Brown and Isaiah Scott slept in the back of my rental on the way to the hotel. It was late at night. We had been through it. So I just went up to be like, hey, man, I'll be your chauffeur any day. That was awesome. First thing out of this guy's mouth was, can't believe I dropped that third touchdown. And I heard him talking to Coach Cisse and some of the other guys about perfecting routes. Like, when you're catching 3-4 touchdowns a game, I can guarantee you that if I was catching 3-4 touchdowns a game, I'm not going to the locker room and going, did I cut that in enough? Did I do this? No, he's the sky's the limit for that kid.
Yeah, he's really special. Yeah. Talking about a special player, tomorrow night, you all are going to play Darius Prince for the first time since he left Albany. What's that going to be like for you, and what's it going to be like going against him? Not you personally, but the Firebirds going against him for the first time.
I'm sad I'm not there. I really am sad I'm not there. Darius and I have a really weird past. Like, we're both mouthy. We're both opinionated. We both know how to have a good time. We both know how to lose our tempers. So, like, in the very beginning, we didn't get along, but over time, we grew respect for each other, and he's family. So, I want to beat his ass. You know what I mean? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I do not want to give him the slightest chance to talk crap to me. But I would love for him to have a great game and us just to have a greater game. And same with Hollis. Both of those guys, man. Like, the first year that Darius was here, he was here without Hollis, and the two of them together, they make each other better, not just on the football field, but also like in public. Like when one's in a bad mood, the other one's in a good mood, and they find a way to get together and do things special. That's how we all became close. Like, it's just I'm rooting for them. I'm really rooting for them, just not this week and not any other time they play us.
Yeah, I got a question here from somebody speaking about this weekend. Has the guys arrived in Corpus Christi and did 25 guys travel?
The guys are there. 22. 22 traveled, because remember we have an international player, so we have Henry Nell, our kicker, so we have a 25-man roster. But we brought 22. Usually we'll travel if we know we're going to use 21, we'll bring that 21, and that'll be it. But coach knew that he wanted some flexibility going from Billings to Corpus. So 22 traveled out, and then they traveled over to San Antonio, Corpus, and they're all there ready to go.
Sounds good.
I actually watched them order their pregame meals on the chat earlier today.
Funny. Yeah, let's talk about the league a little bit as a whole now. I know before the season we lost Arizona and Orlando right before the season, but it's been pretty steady for for this year. How do you feel about the league as a whole right now and where we're at?
I mean, it's the beginning. I said this last year about the AFL, and I was kind of right. I expected it to be a little, some turmoil, because it's first year and everybody's kind of figuring out where they belong and how it fits and how it works. We were able to take the lessons we learned from that and work together as a group, So Jeff Fisher is even keel, and that's what we need. You need that. Jerry Kurz has forgotten more about arena football than I'll ever learn. Christian McEwen in the front office and everybody, they're so ready to help. I can call any one of them at any time, and they'll answer the phone and they'll tell me what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. And I've never experienced AFU, so we do Flock U, but AFU was before the season started. They got us all together in Chicago, and it was like, hey, here's what I know Jeff does well. Here's what this guy does well. Here's what that, and each person spoke to our strengths and kind of taught the other teams how to do things at a certain level. And, we established a little bit of a brotherhood and a sisterhood so that we could work together and realize that, you asked earlier, like, if we're out barnstorming and dominating this league, is that good for the league? Yeah, it is, because we're not hiding how we're doing it. We're going to tell you between Sunday and Friday, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Come Saturday, we're going to kick your teeth in, and it's up to you to stop us. So everybody's together. I can call any owner, any coach, any manager in this league and ask a question or get help. This is the first time I've ever had every single team that we've traveled to has kind of set all the accommodations up for us. And we're doing the same for other people. And it's not a rule. It's just, we all talk to each other and it was like, hey, it'd be easier since the hotels and the best places to get a pregame meal. Why don't you set it up and we come out there and we'll reciprocate when you come here. I never had that before. I mean, maybe because of Orlando, like Nate Starling, when he was down there, he was such a great owner and such a nice guy that we could work with him that way. But this is the entire league. Everybody in this league wants to work together. They want this to work. So I think sky's the limit as long as we can keep pushing forward. It's this year is going to be, again, I'm sorry, everybody, that my games aren't as exciting as everybody else's, at least not after the first half. But it's definitely, it's only going to get better. And the other teams are only going to get better.
Yeah, he talked about so Commissioner Fisher. He's on TMZ there a couple of days ago. He's talking about bringing in some celebrities for the own teams. What are your thoughts on that?
Got to be the right celebrities. I learned that lesson the hard way. But I think it is important. Like when we announced that Hulk Hogan Real American Beer was part of this, of course, Hulk Hogan. Some people love him, some people hate him. Yeah. I was very clear. I've never drank a racist beer in my life, so I don't care. But I think that having him around, and again, I joke with that, but he's a guy who he's flawed, but he's loved, and he put a magnifying glass on us that people who never heard of us were right there. So I apologize for the joke, but I think it's important. You know what I mean? And Jeff Fisher, he's a celebrity. Him being around is huge. So I think whoever we can get in. I had somebody ask me about Antonio Brown the other day, and I was like, obviously not, but that's because it's got to be somebody like Hulk Hogan who wants to have the spotlight for the right reason now. Like that's what he wants, and I think that's what I haven't got a chance to talk to him. I think it would be a great conversation, but I get excited about the thought of adding more attention to this league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look at the past, like the AFL, Bon Jovi, the rapper guy for the Voodoo. I can't think of his name at the moment, but
I can't either.
And Jaws in Philly, like there's and then Elway in Denver too. There's a lot of celebrities when the league was prosperous at that time too.
And this is the time too, because you think about it, I can't even imagine what those guys had to spend to get in at that point. Mm-hmm. Where at this point, it's basically a startup. You know what I mean? Like now you come in, you pay for your team. I don't know the gist of it all to join the league, but I know that the people who are in, they want you to be in. So we all work together to pick out the ball. We all work together to pick out the uniforms or the suppliers and stuff. So I think if you could get the right people, man, it could be real fun. And like Bon Jovi, maybe launch a team in Buffalo and make up with all those guys who still hate you because they thought you were going to go to Toronto. Like I feel like Bon Jovi's got a raw deal in all this. Like I'm all about being the redemption league, baby. Come on in, let's get second chances. Let's everybody get better together.
Yeah, Lil Wayne was the one I was thinking about at the video.
Okay, yeah, he was just on the draft. He's a big football guy. Again, he's another one. He's out shaking hands, man, and that's what I think everybody needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about a little more about expansion. Wilkes-Barre, and we talked. There were some startups that never got to fruition. Wilkes-Barre, Arizona. Would we be better off targeting more established franchises? And people's going to get pissed online when I say this, but trying to poach a team or teams from the IFL. If I feel like if we can get one, more will follow. What are your thoughts on that? And is that challenging?
I don't think there's a perfect way. I think when I first started talking to the guys from Wilkes-Barre, I thought they were in. You know what I mean? Like I thought they understood what we were talking about and they were in. So that would have been, I think if the right expansion team could be very, very valuable. But just having people who understand that it's not always easy in arena football, and especially in the beginning. You got to build your fan base. You got to be in the community, and most importantly, you got to prove you're not going anywhere. Like that's like for Albany, that's the number one thing. If they've lost so many teams, the fan base here in Albany, that them knowing that Mike Korda, Andy Gelcher, Richie says that my ownership are local guys who want to be here, who just love football and want to have fun. That's when we started to see people come in. Like it's important to understand you're not going to sell 10,000 tickets to your first game. But if you are in the community and you're doing the right thing, you're going to build something special. I think the best part of arena football are ownership groups that aren't in it to get rich, that aren't in it for a vanity project, that they're in it because they love the community. They want to do something. Heck, if it pays for itself and you make a couple shekels at the end, it's a beautiful thing. But I know that there is a chance to make money in this industry, but I think the people who come in expecting that quick hit are the wrong owners, whether they're already owners or the new owners. So, I'd like to poach as much as we can, especially any team that's a bus ride away from us, so that we're not in planes all the time. And I would have loved if Wilkes-Barre had worked. I thought they really had something.
We kind of talked about it earlier. You all are kind of the standard franchise if you look around the league. What advice can you give other executives and owners as they try to grow their franchise and get to a place where you all are at now?
I mean, for me, it's great ownership. I think it's patience, and I think it's. I've always said this: like, titles are traps. I feel like titles are traps. I've had some pretty lofty titles. Today I'm a team president. If you live by a title, you will fail in this industry because no job should be too small for you. I saw Steven Titus working in the merch store on Sunday, so everybody's got to wear a ton of hats. Everybody's got to do whatever it takes to get where they're going. And then when you find the right people, don't let them leave. That would be my number one thing. Don't let the right people leave.
Yeah. Miguel Morga for Washington. He's in the merch store too at his games too. So
oh God, I like him, man. He's a different kind of dude. Like, that's the thing, but he's got a love, like, and he uses his love of football and his love of community together to work with each other. And, maybe his love of pro wrestling gets in there a little bit, who knows? But it's just, I think that's what it comes down to, is you've got to love it. And, I've got an ownership group that loves it, thank God, and they let me do it.
A couple more things talk about the officiating. The league released a statement. There was a big screw up at the end of the game last weekend. What do you think about the officiating right now, and where is the officiating falling short, and how can it get better?
Better than we were before. And I respect the fact that that we're being transparent. I know I've been in a lot of conversations that I can't talk about and some that I can. The gist of most of them are always consistency. Like, how do we make sure that everything is a consistent, great product that people are expecting and not shocked by? So when a call doesn't go perfect, or even when the announcers don't know what they're talking about sometimes, which it's a different rule book, people are used to the outdoor game. We can't have that. It can't be a long-term thing. But again, it's year one of the league. We're week 7. We're halfway through the first season of AF1. So I think as long as we're always striving to be better, closer to perfection, we're going to be good. And the refs that I've met with, the officials that I've met with, even the guys in Billings, so we're in Billings, and there's the door. You got to have like this heavy door that keeps the dasher pads up so that if somebody runs into it, they don't end up in your bench. Well, that thing's not always easy to open. So I'm there doing the door for everybody. But because I'm doing the door for everybody, I may have gotten a little jawy with the ref. And he stopped and explained to me why he made the call he made. I was like, dude, all right, you're right. And I think that's important. Like, I think it's cool that a guy was like, hey, look, I could have called it on this side. I could have called it on this. I could have done all these things. And just being transparent made me go, I don't like it, but I get it. And I think that's what we have to keep doing. Just keep striving to get better. We've got the head of officials, and he's grading things and watching things and making sure they're going the way they're supposed to go. And they replaced our timekeeper in Albany because they wanted their guy in. It's not that our guy wasn't good, but they wanted their guy to keep the clock in Albany. And I was like, I'm not going to fight that battle because it sounds like you're doing it for the right reason. So the little details are being paid attention to. It's a growth. It's a growth thing.
Last question for you, Jeff. Championship weekend in Albany, what's it going to be like?
It's going to be phenomenal. We've been embraced by the community more this year than I think we ever have before. So block party, plenty of real American beer for everybody. All of our friends, could 12, 14,000 friends coming by to watch us hoist another trophy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate the time tonight, man. I look forward to being there. So look forward to helping meeting you soon.
All right, man. I'll make sure that your name is spelled right on the press pass.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night, man.
You too.
All right, before we get out of here, picks for this week. We got Albany and Corpus. I got Albany 58, Corpus 28. Albany covers the 5.5 point spread. No issues there. I think that line is really low. And then Billings, Salina goes to Billings. I got Billings 42, Salina 28. Billings covers the 5.5 point spread, even though I will say that game will be interesting with the quarterback change for Salina. I think Salina is a little bit better now. So don't know what to think about Billings. Billings played Washington, played Oregon, and then they got blown out by Albany. So not sure what to think there about Billings, but I think we're going to find out a lot this weekend. I still think they easily cover the spread and win this weekend. You got Nashville and Southwest Kansas. Southwest Kansas beat Nashville the first week of the season. I don't take much from that game. A lot of change in the Nashville roster since that game. A lot better football team. I think Nashville's a lot better than Southwest Kansas. I got Nashville 52, Southwest Kansas 35. Nashville easily covers the 3.5 point spread. And then last but not least, we got the battle up in the Northwest, Washington and Oregon. Washington 36, Oregon 32. Washington covers the 6.5 point spread. I feel like that game could go either way, but I think Washington still covers the 6.5 point spread, whether win or lose. But I think Washington's the better team, so I think they'll win this week. So 3-1 last week against the spread, going for 4-0 this week. I think 3 of these are pretty in the bag, and then one may be iffy, but feel good about the picks this week. So. Thanks for watching tonight, guys. Really appreciate Jeff Levack for coming on the show tonight. One of my favorite guests to have on. So we'll see you next week. Till then, always remember, catch the rebound off the net.